Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Natalie.
Hi.
Hey.
Some fun, like sunlight coming in. I don't know what that is. Not shenanigans. How's the baby, Sarah?
Oh, he's good. He's sleeping right now, but he might wake up in the middle of this meeting and join us.
He is allowed to join us anytime he wants.
Thanks.
Oh, yes. There we go. Oh, what these are. All right, I'm gonna
How
change
is it being back in Illinois? Back in Illinois from Florida.
God, it's so gray and it is so cold, and it's mostly just the gray that I'm just over.
Yes. I didn't realize how gray it actually was up there until I moved.
It's gray, like most days. It's gray. Jess, is it the same for you?
It's yeah.
Yeah.
It's raining today, so that's nice.
It's kind of deciding if it's going to rain or not today. Like
Yeah,
it's waking up every day and it's like the morning. Hi, Chris.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome. We're just complaining about weather.
Yeah, I'll go right ahead.
I was just in West Palm and now I'm back in Illinois and I'm like very much feeling like, why do I live here?
Yeah.
My wife is behind this, so she thought it'd be a good idea if I just kind of listened in and
Fair enough.
became familiar.
Love
This
it.
is kind of her baby.
Chris, it's
but we're
everyone's
excited. We just sent you a deposit yesterday, so I think.
Congratulations. That's awesome. I'm so excited for you. That's great. Jess, did you, okay,
Anyway,
Jess, just so you know, I did press record.
I saw it come on. I was gonna send you a text to say, don't forget, but you got it.
I wrote myself a giant Post-it note next to the like fish box that my daughter made me out of a little Kleenex box, and I was record webinar. Like
I wrote myself a note to tell you. So we were on it this time.
I cannot recreate all of us again like I did last time. That was a bummer. We'll give everyone, I'll wait till 11:05 to give everyone time to come on, and then we will start the fun. Yeah. So take 5 minutes to grab a drink or go to the bathroom or whatever you need to do, and then we'll get this party started. Just joined us. I do love to see your faces if you guys are game for turning your cameras on. It's really nice to talk to you, but I understand if you don't want to too. We're going to get started in about 4 minutes. Hi, Marianne. Good to see you.
You too. Sorry, I'm just getting a bottle ready for the little one.
You are fine. Actually, it's really funny because Sarah, who's joining us today, she has a little one too.
They do.
So I said babies and monitors and bottles and all of that are welcome. I have been there, so you're all welcome. In a small world, Marianne is a equine vet out of Colorado, and we actually went to college together.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
I know, isn't that fun? It's all about horses. It all comes back.
Exactly.
When in doubt, the horses bring us together.
I'm just gonna grab that bottle real quick. I'll be right back.
It sounds good. Yeah, no problem. And Shonda, that sounds good. I love it. All right, you got it. When they head to lunch, you're on. Hi, George.
Okay, say it again.
Hi, George.
Hi.
I'm glad you join us.
She cut me off.
I did,
know.
I'm muted.
She has to keep you in control. She's in charge,
I'm
Justin.
used to it.
Right? Oh, yes. Okay, I got one person that is working to sign in. So we'll give it, like I said, we'll start at 11:05. And then if you need to send me a chat, feel free to, but we'll let everyone get here. I know it always takes a couple minutes to get signed in. Okay. Oh, and Sue is here. Hi, Sue. Sue is
Hi,
joining us.
Katie.
Hi, she's joining us from Utah.
Yes, I am. I'm gonna be not on camera, though. You're gonna get to look at the beautiful Zippy's face.
That is allowed. Like I always say, I love seeing your faces, but I also know if you guys are doing other things, no problem. Zippy was actually one of our first rehab horses, and she just turned 26.
26.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
You would never know it. Zippy fox hunted forever, and now is kind of on to her second career of helping kids at a therapeutic riding center. Quasi retired, really quasi spoiled, I would say.
I would say yes, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm glad.
No,
you
we don't have a new location as of right now. I'm just kind of working out of Jenny's house. That's why we're needing payments mailed, just since I don't have a place for you to meet up with me.
I will get us started. Give me one sec.
Okay,
And
gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I can.
here we go. Okay, we got a couple more people coming. Excellent. Cool. We'll let this person join us. I know I had a handful of people that also emailed me that were like, I'm on the sign up list, but I'm going to join halfway through, or I might be able to join, but I want to watch the recording. So don't worry, unlike last time where I discovered halfway through that I hadn't recorded, we are recording. So thank goodness. All right, so everyone that's here, hi, welcome. I'm so glad you're joining us. I am Katie Hawkins. I am the founder and owner of Unbridled Equine. And Unbridled Equine is kind of a multifaceted company that is all equine, but has rehabilitation, massage therapy, MagnaWave, education, and really focuses on performance horses in all disciplines. And so what has been fun is I'm going to give you a little bit of a background of how this Hudson Unbridled marriage came about. And it's pretty fun. I was looking back on pictures on my iPhone with Jess, and I was like, oh my gosh, look, like this is, I think it was 2019. Like we were like in COVID. So it was like in the midst of COVID. Oh, good, it worked. Okay, awesome. Shiloh's here. And we were, I don't know why I had this fun idea, but I decided one day to call up my dear friend and say, hey, want to open a rehab center with me? And she right away said, yes. She's like, that sounds awesome. Let's do it. And so my friend Kate Wallace and I kind of started down this path of seeing the need in the Chicago area, but also throughout the world and with all horse communities for there to be quality rehab. I was hearing from the vets that I partner with my body work that, you know, they all in their hearts wanted to rehab, but they didn't have the time. And rehab is time intensive and takes people that love the nuance of rehab. So that was kind of where the rehab portion came. And with that, and looking at the different modalities that I wanted as part of our rehab center, I was really looking for a water treadmill. And that led me down the path of, okay, if I'm going to buy a water treadmill, I want the best one out there. So I started I love researching. So I just started researching away and came across Hudson. And when working with Hudson and talking through, it was funny, like when we first spoke with them, it was like I was giving them the sales pitch because I knew everything about it. And I was like, no, this is why I want this one. And so with that, the owner of the barn, we worked together, and the owner of the barn where my rehab center was based out of, now we are currently kind of in between in an interim space as we find our next location. And so the rehab center and getting the water treadmill was where that partnership began. And it was such a fun and seamless process. We got to work with them. It's a small knit group over at Hudson, and luckily they are our neighboring state. So we took a road trip as a kind of working group, and went and saw the Hudson Manufacturing Center, met with everybody in person, got to see the equipment being made. And really that was what solidified it for me. I knew all the points, and I've gone over these before, and I'm always happy to send the information to you of why I chose the Hudson Aquapacer. But on top of that, I love it because you also get to meet the people behind the equipment. And it is truly like a little family over at Hudson. And so, like it said in the description of today, I wanted to make sure you guys got to see also how these are made, because I think seeing that really showed me the craftsmanship that goes into them and the thought that goes into them as well. Excuse me. Let me get that frog out of my throat. And so that's why, as things started to evolve, and I actually remember Jess and Tammy came and visited us at Unbridled, and we were sitting at dinner, having a lovely dinner. And I was like, you guys, there has to be education for this. Like, I have kind of created this as I've gone, and what I'm seeing is that there's just like a missing piece here. And if we could educate people on how to use these better, I think the horses would be safer. I think the handlers would be safer. And I think all around, it's something that it just, as this rehab portion of the industry comes about, let's be the leaders in it and really be teaching people how to use these well, and create a community of people that can talk about this. And so that is kind of the conversation we had over cocktails and a delicious meal. And then it left there. And then, kind of came back around last summer, where we were like, you know what, let's actually talk through what this would look like. And so that was something that didn't have a framework of what a rehab and massage company partnering with a water treadmill company, truly because we believe in the product, but also because we believe in why water treadmills, but specifically water treadmills being done properly, safely, people being educated on how to use them, because it's a piece of equipment that vets are able to go and get education in rehab. And so what I have found is there's a little bit of a lack right now of there being certification programs for non-veterinarians or non-vet techs, but those are actually the people doing the day-to-day stuff. All of my work with the rehab center is all vet directed. So that's something I feel strongly about, is having a vet overseeing and approving what portions of the rehab equipment that we have are appropriate for the horse as they go through their rehab process. Because as I've shared before, every single horse that rehabs, it is not a linear or a textbook approach to each one. They can have the same injury or illness going on and their rehab looks different. And so really starting the conversation off of how can we use this really wonderful piece of equipment to its best abilities, but beyond that, how can we start the conversation around how to safely use these? And that is where the business consulting piece came in, And really that was because there is a lack of just, you know, examples out there of how to start a rehab center, how to have, you know, a fitness program for horses with your aquapacer, and the facets of running a business, a small business on your own when you love horses. And the business part is kind of the tedious piece. And that's something that I have learned through really the last almost 8 years of owning Unbridled Equine. And then the on-site training piece, which I'll talk more about in a little bit, came about in the way that everyone's aquapacer treadmill is set up differently. And the way they use it is differently. And their staff and how they function in their rehab program varies and is specific to their location and their center and how they want things to run. And so, you know, my thought process was, let's get in there. Either when you first get your water treadmill set up, let's start you out successfully. Or if you already have it, let's talk through what you're doing and see if we can make processes more efficient, have protocols set up, have the correct consent and paperwork, all these pieces that are so important that can be looked over just when you get a piece of equipment in that can do so much, but there has to be this groundwork in place. And so I'll go through a little bit more of the details of the training, like I said, in a little bit, and show you the packet for that. But the partnership with Hudson and Unbridled really came about in an organic matter out of seeing the need. And what I appreciate is that Hudson, you know, I kind of was like, hey, this is something that I would have loved to have had, and I think other people will benefit from it. And they were like, yes, we want this for our customers. We want this because it's right. And that to me, it really aligns with kind of how I feel they work as a whole company. So with that, I do want to introduce Jess over from Hudson. She is at a very businessy board table over there. I feel like you are like at the bigwig table, and with her is George Hunter as well. And I would love for you guys to introduce yourselves and give a little bit of the face behind Hudson. So go ahead.
Want me to go first? Hi, I'm Jess. I'm the Central States sales manager, so I kind of have the Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, that whole area. And I just started here. I've been here about 1.5 years, so I'm learning too. But aquapacers seem to be kind of the niche in my area, so that's kind of why I'm involved in this partnership. George.
I'm George Hunter. I'm the president of Hudson Aquatic Systems. I've been with Furno Hudson for just shy of 20 years now. And we have a 40,000 square foot facility here, and where we do everything. We sell, service, engineer, design, manufacture, all out of this facility. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. And it's been fun as well is the entire sales team. They're broken up by regions throughout the United States and then internationally as well. And each sales rep has been fun to get to know and also to learn about all that they're doing, because they sell not only the aquapacer, but also the canine and human units as well. And so as we all know, you know, it's a little bit different getting a horse on a water treadmill comparatively to a dog or a human. We actually had a cow once at our Unbridled facility, and I was like, man, we really should just water tread cows, because Dwight was like as easy as they come. He just loved swimming and wasn't scared of anything. So, you know, in times it's like, man, a dog would be a lot easier to get on this, but the reward of really working with the horses is why we're all here. And so with that, Jess and George, thank you for being here. I adore the Hudson team. They are so fun to work with. And Jess kind of undersells herself. She is like the jack of all trades and just get stuff done. I love it. When in doubt, I know Jess will get it completed. And so I'm always excited to work with them as well. So that's a little bit about how the partnership came about. Like I said, it was really just a joining of two companies that felt strongly about not only the water treadmill, but also about why Hudson is a great tool for people within the rehab and fitness, but also taking it a step further and making sure that people are able to feel confident in using their equipment. And they really wanted to find someone that could do that. And that's where I was able to step in and help. And education is something I'm passionate about. So it really was kind of the perfect little marriage. So with that, I did want to talk a little bit about, and Jess, I think this would be fun for us to share your video, where I was like, Jess, I really want people to see behind the scenes of what this looks like when a Aquapacer is coming about, because I think it's really easy to see the end product and not realize how much has to go into it before it gets to us. And I think since I was able to see it in the process as it was being made, it was like, wow, okay, this is a really advanced piece of equipment. And when you get the finished product, it runs so seamlessly that you don't realize all that goes in behind the scenes. So I was like, Jess, it would be really cool. I know this is just like your place of work and it doesn't seem that exciting or sexy, but like, it is really cool to see how they put this together. So I'm going to share my screen, and then I will have Jess. All right. Do you guys see my screen? Thumbs
Yep.
up? You do? Cool. And then I am going to pull up Jess's, and I love Jess made a reel. And if any of you ever have to do the social media world, you know, it is not just as simple as putting a reel together. Because I don't know, maybe I need to be a millennial and then it would be easier. But it is always a lot of work. So Jess, thank you for doing this. I'm going to pull the link up and then have it run. And then maybe when it's done, you can talk through it a little bit more. And if there's a section you want me to go back to, just let me know. I want to make sure it's big enough too. Thinking. Sometimes Instagram on a computer doesn't know what to do with itself. It only likes cell phones. There we go. All right, here we go. There was music with it. I know there was.
I think, yeah, if you hit your little button in the bottom right.
Thank you. I was totally missing that. I'll play this second.
Oh.
I'll let the beginning play a little bit since I didn't have it. There we go. I wanted you guys to see the beginning part because that's the part that blows my mind, is that it just comes in as pieces. And then the fact that it's put together, I know to them it seems like, oh yeah, of course, you know, we have to put them together, but it's so cool to see that, you know, it really is, in my opinion, a little bit of a like work of art. So Jess, can you talk through a little bit more about that process and how it works behind the scenes, where you guys are not only just getting the raw materials in, but you're also then having your staff work through all the pieces that go into creating the AquaPacer and the AquaPacer Plus.
Yeah, so it's kind of a whole process that involves pretty much everyone that works here at one point or another. So we start obviously working with the customer, and then our engineer, he creates a layout drawing of how the AquaPacer will be installed and built to fit in a barn, whether it's big barn, small barn, whatever space that it's got to go in. Then we take that drawing and we use that to build each unit. So they really are custom built for each customer. And then it kind of goes into the process that was outlined in the video. So it is pretty cool that it comes in basically pieces of steel. And then we construct it that way. We kind of just want to highlight that it's tested throughout the whole process. So after they weld it, we test it to make sure there's no leaks with the water. If it passes that test, then it goes on to the next step. If it doesn't, we fix it. And then after we get past that point, we put the coating on the outside and bring it back up, install the plumbing, the electrical, all the rest of the mechanicals, and then we test it again. So we want to make sure that we're sending you a good quality product that's going to work when we install it. So we fully assemble the whole unit here first. We test it, then we break it all back down, we pack it, we ship it. Our installers are all factory trained professional installers. So they're going to meet the truck, then they install it, and they're going to make sure that everything's working before they leave you with this piece of equipment. So our whole idea is when your unit's installed and our installers leave, your water tanks are full, they're at temperature, you know how to use it, and you're ready to go. It's not oh, we got to fix this, we have to do that, we didn't test this before we sent it, so there could be some problems. I mean, we're asking you guys to wait a little bit of time to get this, but we're putting our time into it to make sure that when you get it, it's working, it's a good quality product for you to use in your business.
Well, and I was just talking to Sarah when we met earlier this week, and I was saying it's like, you know how before you have a baby, there's like time for you to nest and get ready for said baby, because then when it comes, like it's gonna eat, sleep, cry, poop, pee, you know, all the things. And I'm like, there's this beautiful time of you getting to wait a little bit as your custom AquaPacer is made, because once it comes and it's up and rolling, like things get going. And so it's like, yes, like you want the baby there, but you need the time to prep for it, prep your space, prep your staff, like everything. And so I think it's so cool that you guys put so much thought and just really quality control into it. I love the picture of you guys all standing on it, testing it out, because you're like trying to add the weight of a horse. And so it's all of you guys on it. And one of the fun parts is with your AquaPacer is trying it out yourself. And I know that's the first thing we did when we, you know, it was up and running, was we water treaded ourselves because you're so excited to fill it with water and see how it works. So no, I think that was great to see the behind the scenes stuff. And as always, if you have any questions, we're gonna have a Q&A at the end. And Jess and George are here obviously to answer any of your questions that they can. And then I did want to go into the other piece of the partnership, which is the business consulting and on-site training. So with that piece, that is where really Hudson will hand you over to Unbridled. We work together to figure out what your needs are. And then I take over that piece. I have a lot of people that do virtual consulting, and it's something where we just work on a partnership agreement where I am here really to help you with any facet of the business that you need. And there's no like minimum. It could be that you need to just meet for a couple hours because you have some ideas and you want someone to throw them around with. I've had people that are ready to invest in their business and ready to invest in the AquaPacer, and they really see that they want to make sure they are ready to go when that arrives. And a lot of that means me taking kind of an in-depth look of your company and your facility and you telling me what your goals are. And a lot of times the conversations start off where they're like, I don't know what my goals are. My goal is to make money. And I'm like, well, yes, but there's more to it. Like there's more why there. So let's get into it. And it really is important to look at each discipline, each area in the States or internationally where you're located and what the people in your area need. And then also there are so many facets for you to be set up so that you can have your business running and you can focus on what you love, which is the horses. And this can be tedious, or it can be looked at where somebody gives you, kind of step by step what you need to get done and breaks it down into smaller pieces, which is what I love to do, so that you feel like you are accomplishing each step of the way what you need to get done so that your business is up and running and you are getting the word out on what you're able to offer and what makes you unique and why people want to come to your facility. And I truly tell people, when it's put together the right way and it aligns with your beliefs and how you want to run your company, then it just runs. And I was amazed, like it was a little bit of like Field of Dreams, like if you build it, they will come. Like there had never been a rehab center in Chicago. And yes, the vet said this is something they wanted. And yes, people were so excited about the water treadmill. But when we had our open house, which was this huge party, and we were so excited. And then, it was a little bit like, okay. And then the next day there was a horse there. And then I remember a month later us being like, remember when we were worried no one would be here? And now we've got, 12 stalls full and we need more staff and we're running, you know what I mean? So it's like a little bit of be careful what you wish for, but also that was when I realized that time prior to getting up and running was so pivotal, because then as the people came and the horses came, we were set up where our intake and consent forms were on DocuSign. We texted those to you. The vet referral form, it's so hard for vets to get that filled out. No worries. We're going to send it to your office staff. They're going to print it out. You write on it, take a picture of it. I don't care. I just need to see it. And then, okay, we've got all that done. How are we going to do our billing? How are we going to keep track of record keeping, medical records? How are we going to get, what information do we even need from the vets prior to the horse coming? And how are we going to keep that organized? Because if you're in a barn and anytime you have paperwork in a barn, you need to have that in somewhere, one specific spot, so it's not going everywhere throughout the barn, because paper does not last if it's just left somewhere. And then to add on top of that, yes, at the beginning, it might be you doing the work, but eventually you're going to get busy enough that you're going to need people to help you. And so with that, it is always hard to hand over the reins, pun intended, but like, how do you train your staff to do this? And if you have the system set up of, here's what we write, here's how we take the notes, all of a sudden bringing in new people. I had a staff of 7 and like they ran seamlessly, and my office manager was able, my rehab manager was able to run it because she had been trained so thoroughly that trickle down effect happens, where as new people come on, or you have people that come on just for specific tasks, they're able to do them, and everyone is kind of working as a well-oiled machine because those pieces are in place. And it is that piece of the consulting that I really love doing, and how my brain kind of works in order to make it where I want to help you create these and make them specific to your company and your barn and your center, so that it works well. Because then when it works well, it's fun and you have the time to enjoy it. And then I'm going to share my screen again. I wanted to show you the on-site training packet, so you can see that a little bit. My cute hubby and kids. Let me move this over. Okay. Here we go. So this is just kind of a general overview for you to get an idea of what it looks like and what is offered. Let me move this around so I can see it completely. There we go. Okay. So like I said before, the on-site training is very purposeful in the way that we want to, Unbridled wants to be able to come to your facility and help you run the way your setup is set up and your staff needs. So with the on-site training, we come to you. It is a 3-day program. And ideally, for new people that are getting their water treadmills, it is at the point that your water treadmill is installed, you know that it's working. We've been working together prior to the water tread being installed. And so that talks about a little bit here where the pre-training virtual consulting meetings are imperative. And this is where the consulting piece comes into the on-site training. So it's not just, oh, I'm going to come and train you. It's let's talk about all the stuff we need to get in order. So if that means customize forms, okay, I'm here to help you with that. I have the forms. I've gotten, the equine lawyer to create the consent forms that are not out there for water treadmills because this is such a new portion of the industry. What do you need people to sign off and consent? What information do you need from the owners prior to them coming? Are you going to have people trailering in? What does that process look like? Because that's very different than the people who are, I'm sorry, I always say the horses that are staying with you. And then, how is your staff going to run their day? Having a rehab center, it works very, very differently than when you have a boarding barn. The day looks very different because your goals are different. So the pre-training virtual consulting meetings is just similar to this, where it's Zoom meetings. And then that's where it talks about really having also the customized consent forms, intake paperwork, and record keeping, which are kind of the three big areas that you need prior to your water treadmill coming. And then the on-site training, that is myself and my rehab manager, Kayla Talkington, coming along, and we are there to train you on your equipment, get your horses on it, teach you the protocols, and how, yes, there is this baseline of idea of how you are going to work horses on your water treadmill, but they all have their own personality. So how are you going to get them where they are joining you and want to go on this water treadmill versus seeing it as a steel box of fear and death? Because we're asking a flight animal to go into a confined area with a floor that moves, and we're adding water, and we want them to like it. And so how do you do that? How do you do that? And my goal was always to really figure out how to not have to use any kind of ACE or sedative unless the vet really wanted it, or it was something we weaned them off of. Because what I noticed was when horses were on that, their stride length and their ability of, really their fatigue set on more quickly, and they just didn't perform as well on the water tread when having to have some sort of sedation. And so through using kind of the different methods that we learned through trial and error, we were able to figure out some really good systems for how to get the horses accustomed to going in and, on and off the water treadmill, how to get them used to the different elements, the water, the speed, the height of the water, the temperature of the water, all of those, to the point where one horse, a cute little Arabian named Clark, bless him, it took a long time to get this boy on board with doing the water treadmill, but he was one that by the end, he's drinking the water, he's flicking the water at us, he's splashing it. I mean, he loved being on the water treadmill, and it made me so happy. He taught me a lot about how having the right setup and giving the horse the time and the space that they need to learn how to do it, they do love water treading. And it's so fun to watch that process kind of unfold. And then after the on-site training, which I'll go into a little bit more of what each of those days look like as an example, there's post-training support. So you've got this water treadmill, we've talked about everything, what to have set up. Your first horse comes in, your second horse comes in, your third horse comes in, and you're like, oh, this one didn't do it like this one did. And I have questions about this. It's really nice to have a friend to turn to. And that's what I want to be. I want to be the person you can text that's like, we just got an EPM horse in. We've never had one. What does this look like? I don't want to mess it up. And this is where not only me, but then your vet are going to be the people that you refer to on how to make this work. And oftentimes vets will have the training in the rehabilitation, but not in the application of using this tool because it is so new. So oftentimes it's you and the vet working together on, okay, they know what the horse needs as far as height and speed and temperature, but they don't know how to get the horse on. So then that's where you're going to have to really bring in your expertise on, okay, this is what I've learned through this training. I'm going to apply this to these different horses. And pretty soon the vet's going to be like, you know how to do this. Like, you do your thing. I just want to make sure the horse gets done 4 times a week or something like that. So that's where having these tools will give you confidence and will help you kind of get through that beginning portion of the unknowns, because this isn't something that is a normal part of horses. And so the training schedule, just to give an idea of what that would look like. So day 1 would be introductions, expectations. I think it's so important to really talk through what the expectations are for the training so that everyone is set up for success. We want to get to know your barn and your facility and how it runs, because every single barn runs differently. And what is the flow of your facility, and how do you want these horses to work day in and day out in your rehab or fitness setup that you have. And then understanding the intended use and hopes for the Aquapacer and business plan if we worked on that beforehand. So how do you want to use it? Do you want, horses on it every day? Are you wanting to do it at a certain point during your day? How do you want it to flow? And then we really want to talk about the Aquapacer safety and practice running it without horses. So there is something too in learning before you put a flight animal on this. How does it work? How do you use the touch screen? How do you close the doors? How do you fill up the water? How do you go behind the scenes and do all the kind of nooks and crannies that are back there that take it to run, so that you feel confident in those before you even put a horse on? It is not fun to learn those things as you have a horse standing there impatiently waiting for you to learn them. And then in the beginning, the introduction and desensitizing on-site horses to the Aquapacer, using our step-by-step protocol. So this is where having horses on site during the training is imperative. And this is going to allow us to start doing the process of how do you introduce them and get them on the Aquapacer and get them treading happily. On day 2, we're going to talk through the roles and responsibilities. I very much push and want 2-person teams to be working the Aquapacer. I know people do differently, and I respect that. But for me, the 2-person team is not an option. It has to be 2 people running the equipment, and you'll see why as you run it, why having 2 people is so important. And then continuing the practice with the on-site horses. It's something that Kayla and I would be showing you, but then also something you would be doing as well, learning hands-on. And then a deep dive into the settings that the Aquapacer has and when and how to use them with different horses. So this is talking about the temperature of the water, the speed of the treadmill, the height of the water. The height is the big one, because that is your variable that can change really how the horse is working on the water treadmill. And there is a lot of research behind horses working through water. But again, the research and the, practical application of it can be different, even based on a horse's size or what the horse is able to do. So really talking through, why, thinking those higher order thinking skills of like, why do we want to use each of these elements the way that we do? And then the other part, safety. I can't hit this home enough. If it's going to happen, a horse is going to do it. And I was lucky enough to learn firsthand about a horse falling down in a water treadmill, and using what we had practiced in getting that horse safely back up, getting the water out, draining the tank. And you know what, it happened and it was scary, but at the same time, I was like, dang, we did really good with that. And I'm really proud of us. And that was not fun. But what we practiced worked. And so really hitting home on those safety practices and how important they are. And then the third day, talking through cleaning and care. I want you to practice running the water treadmill as a team, because you will get to a point where you guys have a flow between the 2 of you. And Kayla and I don't even need to talk to each other. We have such a flow on how we are able to work horses on the water treadmill. And that's something that you want to get into a rhythm of. We're going to complete the step-by-step training with your horses that are on site. Review the settings, review administrative tasks, and tailoring them to your needs and programs. And this is really the record keeping, the consent forms, the intake forms. And then practice makes perfect. Let's run horses through the water treadmill and have some fun with it. So that is a little overview of the 3-day program. And obviously that's something that can be customized to what your barn needs. And then, like I said, it's myself and then Kayla that run the on-site trainings. We will come to your facility together. So with that, I wanted to open up the floor to someone very near and dear to me that we have gotten to know each other through this pre-training portion, because I feel like every time I get to work with somebody, I just love hearing their story and getting to know them. So I wanted to introduce Sarah Woods. And Sarah, what I'd like for you to do for everyone is just share your experience, share what it's been like. You kind of experienced all the ups and downs of starting a rehab center, picking the equipment, and then choosing the Hudson Aquapacer, and then choosing to work with me as well. So I'd love for you to share your experience and kind of let everyone know how it's been going.
All right, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. I am currently a barn manager down in Fayetteville, Arkansas at Pinnacle Equine Therapy. And we are currently a private barn. We have a few boarders. We have some permanent residents of our own, and we are adding rehab to the mix because we saw a need of it in our area. And we really wanted to close that gap. We're in an area where, I mean, we're in the South. It stays pretty warm. A lot of people don't have access to just basic rehab needs, such as a stall and an indoor arena. And we have all of that. And we wanted to open our barn up to the public and fill those needs. And so we have been anxiously awaiting our Aquapacer for a little while now. And we chose to go with Hudson pretty much for the same reasons that Katie did. We loved how personalized our experience has been all the way up to, I mean, we started working with Hudson last April. And so for the last year, I mean, we've worked with Tammy. Tammy has been nothing short of amazing for our entire experience with her and with Hudson. She even flew down to our barn and looked at where we wanted to put our treadmill and looked over the specs that we were given on what our tread was going to look like. And she was able to help us really make sure that we were setting ourselves up for success with the treadmill that we ordered. And then I've been able to get to know Jess a little bit through the webinars that we've sat in together. And so we love how personalized Hudson has been for us. And really, with all of our research, they were the only ones that were aware of needing that extra training on the back end. And so that's how we got to working with Katie. And I am happy to say that Katie is now a dear friend of mine. I consider her a dear friend of mine. She's been here through the birth of my son, and we are so excited for her to come down and see our barn and meet her officially in person and just get this training going. We are so excited. So Katie, really from a year ago, I mean, when we started with Katie, all we knew was we wanted to start a rehab program, and that was about it. We didn't know really anything that we needed to get started. And so Katie has helped us everywhere from putting forms together and having everything personalized to our barn with the legal forms that we need, as well as guiding us toward what we need in terms of equipment. Aquapacer, she helped us get a VitaFloor. She has helped us with PEMP stuff. I mean, she's helped us walk through all other necessities that we will need, as well as really enhancing basic foundation pieces of our rehab, including hand walking. We have started a thing thanks to Katie, called Purposeful Hand Walking, where really we're making hand walking just a whole lot more interesting for both handlers and horses alike. And we've seen major improvements in our permanent residents already in incorporating that into their day-to-day schedules. She's helped us with our organization. She's helped us with troubleshooting with some of our equipment that we have just already. So she's been there for, even though we don't have our AquaPacer yet, she's been there to help us kind of get a routine down with the rest of our equipment that we already have, so that really the only thing we have to add is our AquaPacer, and we're already fully prepared for everything before then. So we have already kind of walked through some trial and errors with getting horses on our VitaFloor
Yeah,
and
talk
kind
about
of
that experience a little bit, because that
Oh,
was a
so
good
really, it
experience
was
for me.
really funny. So we decided to go with the VitaFloor. We ordered it, it came in, we got it installed. And of course, as soon as it's installed, we're like, oh my gosh, yay, let's put horses on it. We couldn't wait. And of course, the horses were like, what the heck are we doing now, you crazy humans? So we have 6 horses that we have currently been working with and perfecting our rehab with. And so we grabbed those horses and started putting them on. And we had some people that were so excited to get them on that we didn't really think about the back end of how are we going to get them on? You know, it's a shaking floor. It's kind of terrifying to a flight animal. And so I was able, so we that first day got all 6 horses on the VitaFloor. It was great. And then the next day we go to put a horse on, and the horse is like, puts the brakes on, is saying, absolutely not, I'm not getting on that thing. And so I was able to reach out to Katie and was like, hey, what the heck are we doing? How do we fix this? Because we got so excited that we had this new piece of equipment. And now our horses are telling us, heck no, don't bring me near that thing. And it was so helpful to have Katie there to walk us through, you know, yes, we're excited to have all of this cool new equipment, but you have to, I mean, horses are flight animals, just like you said before. And we have to come up with a training protocol to get them on. And each horse is going to be different, and it's going to take certain different lengths of time for each horse. And really, it was a blessing in disguise. And I'm really glad that we have now overcome this. But I was able then to, myself as well as our staff, train everyone on how to handle getting horses on the VitaFloor. And now we're more than prepared for other horses to come in and us put them on there.
Yeah.
So Katie's really been there, not only from organization standpoint for us and making sure we have everything that we need, but just moral support as well. She's been amazing. I text her fairly often with questions, and she's always right there, whether she's home in Chicago or down in Florida massaging. And I know I can always count on her with any questions that I have. And now on Monday, we have a rehab client coming in. And so we are so excited. And we are already planning. We're finally in the stages of Katie planning to come down and do her on-site training with us with our tread. And we just can't wait. And it's just amazing to look back from a year ago and seeing where we are now with her help. And I don't think we could have done it without her.
Thank you. Yeah, it was so fascinating when you called me about the VitaFloor, because it seems like such a benign, like they're gonna love it. It's relaxing. It feels great. And then all of a sudden I'm like, did you turn it down? Did you stand on there with them? Did you
Yeah.
Oh no, like I didn't even know you guys were getting it. Shoot, you know? And
Yes.
it's like, but what you said was like, wow, if this had been clients' horses, we would have been behind because of this. Like we
Yes.
had to retrain these horses for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks because once you scare them, the road back is very slow.
Yeah.
they're hesitant. And so I remember you saying like, oh my gosh, this is just the VitaFloor. Like, what if we had done this with the water treadmill? You're like, I can't even think of it. Like,
Yeah.
like giving you nightmares. And and I remember too during a meeting, like it was me, you, and Lori, and Lori owns the facility that you're running the rehab center out of. And I think Lori like wrote you a note and you chuckled and you're like, I have to read this to Katie. And Lori,
Yes.
this is priceless.
Yes. All of the information that we've gotten from you is just priceless. And
It was awesome. It was a really sweet moment. And I think what's been so fun is that we are getting to the point now where we're going to be able to get that aquapacer in, do the training. They are more than ready to do it. And then on top of it, the clients are already coming in, just like I told her. And I said, like, just you wait, you know, a year from now, you're going to look back on this and think, remember when we wanted the horses to come? Like they're here and they're rolling and we, you know, we have them. And so, you know, it's one of those things where I really feel like, you know, Sarah was able to, and Lori, the barn owner, we were able to work together during this time. And now like they are ready to get off and running. And it was kind of adorable timing too, because we were worried about, you know, the arrival of her son and the water treadmill, and everything has worked out perfectly timing wise, where I'll be going there next month and really like they're going to hit the ground running. So Sarah, thank you so much for sharing your experience. I love hearing from people that are, you know, doing the work and living the life and knowing what it's like and balancing all of it. So thank you for sharing that. I just adore you guys at Pinnacle. And I think that's what's most fun for me is that it's not just training you and consulting. It's like getting to know you, getting to know your business, because ultimately we're all horse people and we all have big hearts. And I just want people to be successful, because then the horses get to really benefit. All right, I'll let you be a mom. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. We were working on nap time. That was perfect. John, the timing was impeccable. He also was on a meeting with me just earlier this week, and he literally sat there for an hour and like slept and was perfect. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you have like a angel child. Like he just looked at the camera and was happy. And so I did get in the chat. Let me see. Oh yes, Sue, I would love for you to add a testimonial from Zippy. That would be great. Thank you.
Thanks. Is now a good time?
Yes, please.
Great. So I just wanted to let everyone know that Zippy is a kind of a legacy massage client of Katie's, probably known Katie longer than maybe everybody on this call. And so probably when Katie was starting Unbridled and her massage therapy, Zippy was one of her first clients. And Katie just wanted to provide like some background on Katie's dedication and her organizational skills and the benefits of the long-term relationships. And Katie would actually come to my farm and go out to the paddock and get Zippy and massage her like tied to the trailer, like not at the barn where she was living. And one day Zippy, I was there to observe this, and Katie called her name and Zippy whinnied and turned and immediately came over to Katie. And Zippy doesn't whinny to anybody. I mean, we've had her in the family forever and ever. And Katie's the only one that I ever remember her whinnying to, because she's like so excited to have Katie come visit and for her massage. So of course, when Katie started the rehab center, I wanted to be a part of that. I love and enjoy supporting women starting their own businesses. And Zippy, perhaps thanks to all of Katie's massage therapy, she never had any injuries. And we've hunted with the Mossbach hounds. Zippy's 26. We hunt for 4 hours. And one day I tracked it. I don't always track it. 21 miles galloping and running for 4 hours. And so Zippy was fit enough to do all of this. So we came to Unbridled Rehab as a prehab client. So we didn't have an injury to recover from, but I just want to point out that that's another benefit to your clients or your prospective clients is she came and, pretty much experienced all the modalities part of the time when I was out of town, and just to keep your horse going. So not only for rehab, but prehab was so beneficial for us. So Katie continues to help Zippy along the way, and it's been many, many years now. So thank you, Katie, for everything that you've helped
Thank
Zippy
you.
with. And
Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, you bring up such a good point that I think you realized as Zippy aged the importance of keeping her fitness, especially in the off season. And Sue is just a true horsewoman through and through, and really had a horse hunt into her 20s that I think pretty much like we had to say, like we were like, okay, she's 26, like Zippy girl, I know you keep going, but like, God bless you. You
Yeah.
get a different job
Yeah.
now. But I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, into her 20s coming and doing the fitness piece in the off season where Zippy didn't need a rider on her back. She didn't need that excess work. She needed to stay fit, and having the right tools to do that. Yeah, I mean, I remember you were not sure if she was going to hunt that year, and then she'd hunt another year, and we'd do it again and she'd hunt another year. Just amazing.
17 seasons she hunted, and leading the field and leading other horses. And just to close that with this week, we all recognize the world, let me get it right, World Down Syndrome Awareness Day. And Zippy was featured on the therapy, Midwest Therapeutics Facebook page with one of her kids who's a Down syndrome kid, and thanking Zippy and holding her. And it was just, it makes my heart warm to know that she's got the right next job in her chapter. And again, Katie helped her get there for all these years that we've worked together. I think it's more than 10 years, right, Katie? We go
It's
back
been a
to
long time. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you believed in me from the get-go.
long time. Yeah.
Yes,
So
thank you.
so thank you, Katie, and good luck to everyone, and consider prehab as another.
That is
another-
a great thing to bring up. Thank you, Sue. I do want to open it up to you guys as far as a question and answer section of it, or anything you may have. This can be in regards to what I shared on with the consulting and training. This can be just a question you have for Jess and George about the Hudson Aquapacer. You can unmute if you would like and ask your question. You can also send it in the chat. Don't be shy. All questions are good questions, because on top of the webinars and sharing different topics each time, we're also working to create a community of people where, just like Sarah mentioned, having someone to send a text to, like, they won't get on the VitaFloor, what do I do? And having someone that can give you ideas. And like Sue mentioned, the idea that there are so many different ways to utilize this equipment for fitness, prehab, rehab. There are so many ways that we can help our horses these days. And this is kind of the forum to talk and have those questions. So I'll open up the floor to you guys. If you have any questions, please go ahead. If it's crickets, that's okay too. That just means I answered everything. Yes.
So just, if I may ask, we just put in our deposit yesterday for the equipment. So my job is when the equipment arrives to have, I guess, a forklift, or of course we have tractors that have forks on it too, that can move the equipment around, move it off the truck and get it inside the barn. When we built for the slab of the barn, we built a pit for this Aquapacer for it to sit down into. And looking at the Aquapacer as you were moving around your facility, and I think the video that was shown, it shows some tubing down at the bottom. Is that removed before you place that into the pit, or is that part of the equipment item?
The tubing, like the pipes coming out of the exercise chamber, or?
Yeah, on the bottom, on the very bottom. It looked like it was resting on some tubing. Is that removed before it sits down into the pit, or
No,
is that just
No.
that you use to help move it around the facility?
it sits on those tubes, even when it's installed. There's two center tubes that are larger, if you see it. Those are where the fork pockets. So when it's delivered, you would stick the forks into those pockets, move them over and place it into the pit where you want it to go. But that's all welded as part of the frame that stays with it.
I see. Okay. Okay.
Great question. And yeah, that's something where I know with us, we also had, I think it was a 6-inch deep pit that could hold the water in case we had to kind of open the floodgates so it wouldn't flood the aisle. And that's where those, pieces come in, where you don't have to set it in a pit, like you can set it flush with the ground. But when putting it down a little further, there are the pieces that go to and from the tanks. And so I know we were kind of figuring stuff out, as we knew it was getting delivered and everything like that. But the nice part is that the owner of the barn had very specific ways that he wanted it done. And George and Jess and the whole team were very patient because, it was a very specific way that he wanted it, and you're able to do it. It's just talking through how you want it set up. And then they were able to say, like, here's what even just sending pictures. They're like, here's what it's going to look like. And then it was like, okay, now we know what the architect or what, our plumber needs to do to make that work. And so that's where I liked where we were able to customize it to our space, and they know their equipment so well that it wasn't hard to send the questions to them, and they were always accessible because yes, like ours was recessed into the ground, and our tanks and everything were off kind of in this like lean-to that was behind a door. So we were going to have everything kind of underneath. How are we going to do that? And so there are a lot of those bits and pieces that are important to get figured out prior to your equipment coming, so that when the installers come with it, it's like, okay, we're ready to set this up. And that's where they're going to be so helpful as you do that, to make sure everything's ready to go when that gets delivered. It's a good question. Hold on, I see you have someone coming in the chat. Oh, you're very welcome, Kelly. And then just so you know, we will have another webinar. Let's see, May would be our next one. And Jess and I were just talking, we are planning on doing it on how you would use the Aquapacer for rehab versus conditioning. So kind of thinking of the rehab portion versus the fitness portion. And as Sue talked about, that prehab portion, and how you would really look at the plan for those horses maybe in different ways, because you're working with really just different fitness levels and what those horses' needs are. And so that was what we're looking for the next topic. If there's something that you are thinking of that you're like, I would really love for you to cover this, send it my way. I am happy to go through that or include it in a webinar so we can cover it and talk through it. And of course, I'm always available via email, and you can ask me, questions that you have or follow-up questions that you have. So I'm, very accessible to you. But we're going to continue this series just like we have every other month. And I'm happy to stay around afterwards if anyone has any questions afterwards, but I want to be cognizant of your time. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope a lot of your questions got answered and you got to see some neat stuff of how this Hudson and Unbridled partnership is going. And thank you so much for joining us. Jess, George, Sarah, thank you for sharing. Sue, thank you for sharing your experience. I will definitely see you again in May. And please feel free to stick around if you have any questions that you would like to ask one-on-one. Thank you so much, you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Katie.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.